Hey everybody, welcome to something a little different. Well, it's not a little different if you have never seen my channel before. But if you haven't seen my channel before, typically I do comic book stuff. And we're going to differentiate from that a little bit and show off my books that I got recently. Because I got really into books recently. And yeah, I like to make videos from time to time branching out. And if this does well, then I'll do more, because I do have more books coming. It's a good thing I got these shelves recently. I actually got them originally because of my VHS collection, because these are like media shelves, they call them. And it's a good thing I did, because, yeah, around that time I also started buying books, and all my other shelves are full up already, so I didn't have a place to put them. Fair warning, a lot of this stuff is Star Wars books, so if you're not into Star Wars, you might not like that. Pretty much all of this, though, is fantasy slash sci-fi, so if you're not into that at all, then you really won't like this. But, yeah, we're going to start off with the all Star Wars shelf here. So I'll show you each book. So this is Star Wars Yoda Dark Rendezvous. I believe this takes place after Attack of the Clones. This would have Yoda supposedly facing off with his old Padawan, which is Count Dooku, which I kind of forgot that was his Padawan. Starting to get a little more into like the prequel books. I was kind of trying to like mostly just collect the books that take place after Return of the Jedi, but I'm branching out a little bit. I got pretty much all this stuff off Whatnot, by the way. I'm not like plugging them or anything. I don't have any kind of code for you, but I really do recommend the book side of Whatnot. Everybody is very, very friendly there. The prices are good. If somebody doesn't have something, a lot of people are very willing to look for that for you, like specifically go out and hunt it for you, because they do that as a hobby. You know, they're not really in that for the money, which is really nice. And it just does feel like a community of people who just enjoy this hobby. So I would really recommend Whatnot for books. They have literally every type of book. Horror, romance, fantasy, sci-fi, your general fiction, your non-fiction, all that stuff. So I really, really would recommend them. Anyway, back to the books. We got Order 66. This is actually in the wrong spot. This needs to go with my other Republic Commando novels. I think I have... No, I'm missing one of them. I have almost all the Republic Commando novels. I think there's 5. So I need to put that with those others. Then we got Star Wars Allegiance. This is another Timothy Zahn book. He did the Thrawn books, which are amazing, generally regarded as some of the absolute best Star Wars books you can find. Not super sure what Allegiance is about, but it's, like I said, it's Timothy Zahn. You know, pretty much anything he does I'm interested in, so I picked it up. Heir to the Empire. This is kind of the one that started me getting back into books, honestly. Well, back into Star Wars books. I'd always heard so many great things about the Thrawn trilogy, but it had never interested me. But I was at Barnes & Noble, and I had no idea that they even had a whole section with the Star Wars Legends stuff. I didn't think they still reprinted Star Wars Legends stuff. And so I went to the science fiction fantasy section of Barnes & Noble, and it was there, and I was so excited because the Legends stuff is what I grew up with, the comic books, the Dark Horse comics. I read those so much, and that was the canon I knew. So I was super excited to find these, and this was only like $10 or whatever, so I was like, you know, I'll check it out. It's not super expensive. I'll pick it up, see if it's any good, and yeah, it was amazing. And I went and found the next 2 books in the trilogy as fast as I could. So that one's a newer copy, obviously. I wanted to get the copies from this printing because the covers connect, but I couldn't find them. I found the 3rd one, but not the 2nd one. So I just got some of the old paperback ones. There's Dark Force Rising, and then there's Last Command, which is cool. Then I have Survivor's Quest, which is a later Timothy Zahn book. There's 2 more books he did after, or not after, before Survivor's Quest. Spectre of the Past, which I'm currently reading, which is actually upstairs. I forgot to bring that and show it. And then Hand of the Future, which I have in hardback, which we'll get to that. I believe this is kind of like the last book in the New Republic series. We kick into the New Jedi Order, or whatever it's called after this. Then we got 3 of the Tales books. I don't have them all. There's also Tales from the Empire and Tales from the New Republic, or the Rebellion, or whatever it is. I understand that those aren't great. I want to say one of these also is not super great, but I figured they'd be really cool, kind of like anthology things. So you got Tales from Jabba's Palace, Tales of the Bounty Hunters. I've always loved the Bounty Hunters, especially Boba Fett. And then Tales from... Sorry for the cut, I got interrupted. Then I have Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina, which this one is really, really clean. Also, sorry for the camera shaking a little bit. If I do another book video, I will have a different setup. I will have the phone set up on the tripod and showing you the books one by one instead of like this. Only reason I'm doing it like this is just because they're all on the shelf already, and I didn't really think about making a video at the time when I got all of these, so, but it is what it is. Then I got the Darth Bane Path of Destruction. So when I first started looking into getting Star Wars books again, this was one that I knew I absolutely wanted to get, because I do remember reading about Darth Bane in the comics and stuff, and he was one of those cool Sith Lords. And so they had the first book at the Barnes & Noble, and the next 2 they didn't have, and on thrift books, they were pricey. They started at $10, which was the low for, like, a very good copy. And, I happened to pop into someone's Whatnot stream. It was their first Whatnot book stream, and they had a ton of Star Wars books, and they were selling them for way cheaper than on, thrift books even, and one of them, which is probably the last book I will show you, I was super psyched to get for the price. But yeah, I got these 2 for like $3 each, which was awesome. And they're, you know, they've been read, you can tell, but they're not in bad shape. And so that's Rule of 2 and Dynasty of Evil. And then I also got The Mandalorian Armor, The Bounty Hunter Wars, Book 1. I have Book 2 on the way. I've also heard that this, I think it's a trilogy, is kind of meh. But if anything, you know, it's a Boba Fett book, and I like to collect Boba Fett stuff, so it's whatever. Okay, now we move on to the hardcover or larger paperbacks. And there's not much here, as you can see. I actually got a bunch of Star Wars hardcovers recently for really cheap. Like, I got 5 or 6 of them that are in the way, or excuse me, on the way in the mail. But here's my Vision of the Future. I did have to pay a little more for it, which a little more was $10. I'm just a broke college student, so $10 is a lot to me. But best I can tell, this is a first edition, first printing, so that's not so bad. Sorry, my cat was trying to attack my charger, which is plugged into my phone right now. A non-fiction book, actually. So this is Becky Lynch's autobiography. Becky Lynch is a WWE wrestler, if you're not familiar with her. The Man, Not Your Average Girl, and this actually is signed by, there, it's got a printing plate signed by her, which was really awesome. I had some extra money, so around the time that this book was coming out, and I saw that they were doing that, so I picked it up, and it was really not that expensive compared to the price of the book. And then Ministry of Time. I don't pick up a lot of new books just because there's not a lot of new fiction books that I'm into. This one was one, though, that I was really interested in by the premise. I haven't read it yet, I just got it recently. I saw it on Goodreads a while back. It was like books coming out in the summer, so this is obviously a while ago. and the premise was really interesting to me. There was a little bit of controversy with it. Supposedly, some people were saying that it ripped off from some Mexican TV show or movie or something. I don't know about that. It was sounded like it was a fairly obscure thing. So I don't know that that's true, and I can't imagine that this would be allowed to be published if that was true, and that, it would be a Good Morning America book club and all this stuff. So I can't imagine that that is true. But yeah, I don't pick up a lot of newer fiction books, especially the sci-fi and fantasy, because a lot of it is just super romance heavy these days, and I'm not into that. I know that A Court of Thorns and Roses, that series is really popular, and it does sound interesting, but from what I've heard, the first book is like kind of romance heavy, and that's just not my thing. So, yeah, I don't pick up a lot of new fantasy and sci-fi for that reason. Then I have The Coming of Conan the Chimerian. I think that's how you say it. This is a Robert E. Howard book. I can't remember which books this collects from Conan. I'm not seeing it anywhere. The first 13 Conan books, so quite a few of them. I actually have some of the old ones from like the 60s and early 70s. So that's really cool. I haven't got a chance to read that yet either. And then here's another Star Wars book, Lost Tribe of the Sith, Collected Stories. Again, I think this is kind of like an anthology, but I'm not super sure. But it was a book that I heard was good, so I picked it up. Then I got a couple Neil Gaiman books here. We got The Graveyard Book. I found this one at Goodwill. This was a Newbery Medal winner. This is about a kid, I believe, who's raised by like ghosts in a graveyard. It's supposedly a kid's book, but it sounded really interesting to me. And then I also got Stardust, which is really cool. I haven't read any of those yet. I've been collecting some Neil Gaiman stuff. I was really only familiar with Neil Gaiman through his comic work. Like I said earlier in the video, I mostly do comic book stuff, so I was really only familiar with his stuff like, Sandman. And I don't even know that I knew he did books. I knew he did Good Omens, because that was a TV show, so I knew he did do that book. But I don't even know that I knew he did other books until like a year or two ago. Or maybe even not that much. And yeah, and his books they sound really cool, all the premises of them. Alright, last shelf here. This isn't all the books I have. I do have more, but the other ones are just your basic stuff, like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Percy Jackson. They're all on the other shelves anyway. So, this shelf's a little packed more tightly, so. We got The Gunslinger. This is Dark Tower Book 1. I kind of want the hardcover of this because the hardcover looks really cool, and I did happen to find it for like only $4, but I'd already bought the paperback of it. It is what it is. I can get it later. So, yeah, I've always heard good things about Dark Tower, and Gunslinger by itself sounded interesting to me. So yeah, I haven't read this yet. I'm trying to pick up the other Dark Tower books, because I know me, I'm gonna read it, and I mean, I don't know that I'm actually going to love it, but I probably will. And usually when that happens, I'm like, I gotta find the other books, and I'm like obsessed with them for a while, which is what happened with the Heir to the Empire books. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of these next books that are gonna be here, not a lot of them, some of them, I don't know what they really are, and I picked them up solely based off cover. This one, I have no clue what it is. I'm gonna be honest, the Whatnot show that I got this and the next book on, I just liked the guy. Like, he was talking to me about Frank Frazetta, and I love Frank Frazetta. And I just liked him, and I just wanted to buy some books, and this one looked interesting. The Bard, The Odyssey of the Irish, and I don't know, I'm Irish, so it spoke to me, I guess. I have zero clue what this is about. I think I've seen this before, but yeah, I'll give it a read at some point. And then King of the Wood. This one I did solely purchase off cover because it just looked cool. Dragon Slayer. So this was apparently a movie. I thought maybe this was the book that the movie was based on, but no, this is just the book adaptation, so that kind of sucks. I'm not a big fan of book adaptations. I liked them when I was a kid, but now that I'm an adult, I want, like, extra material for these movies or whatever. I don't know if that makes any sense. Get Off the Unicorn. This is an anthology book by Anne McCaffrey, so I thought that was cool. I haven't read the Dragon Rider stuff. I think that's what the series is called, but I might one day. Isaac Asimov, I, Robot. I got this for free, actually. Again, like I said, people on Whatnot are super nice. The guy threw it into me for free because I was buying other stuff, and I asked him if he had a copy, and he was a big Asimov fan. He's like, I've got lots of copies. I'll just give you one for free. He said it's like a more beat up one that's only like, that would only be like $1. But this is really not that bad. I would probably still have paid $2 to $3 for this copy if I was pricing it and purchasing it myself. But awesome cover. This is, again, like kind of anthology stories about robots. I have no idea why the I, Robot movie was made based on this. I don't know if it was made based off one story in here. Then we got another Neil Gaiman book, Neverwhere. I'm not super sure what this one is about. I've read it before. I feel like the description was kind of vague. I did pick up American Gods recently. That's on its way to me. The copy I picked up was a little beat up, but it was only $2, so I figured what the heck. American Gods was one that was really interesting to me. The Baroque Fable? I don't know how to say that. I heard it said before, but I don't remember. Again, I just thought the cover looked very cool, and it's a fairly clean copy. Another one that I'm not really familiar with, The Hero and the Crown. Kind of picked it up solely based off cover. The description of it did sound interesting. I almost bought a second copy of this by accident because I forgot that I had ordered this, because I ordered this like a week ago. It was a little late in getting shipped to me. And I was at Goodwill, and I saw it, and I don't see too many fantasy books there, especially old ones, so I immediately was intrigued by it, and I picked it up, and I was like, this looks familiar. And then I read the back of it, and I was like, no, I think this is one of those books that I was looking at that was like kind of more for kids, and so I put it away, and then when my package came with my lot of books, this was in it. I was like, oh, I did buy that. Here's a classic, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This is a new copy. I literally just bought this like 2 weeks ago. I had been like going back and forth about wanting to read this book for quite some time, but a lot of times I feel like the descriptions throw me off, and a lot of times the descriptions really aren't, what's the word? They're not really what the book is all about, I guess. I can't think of the right word. But I figured I would just buy it. It was cheap. It's like the, you know, the mass market kind of copy of it. And I haven't read it yet, but everybody's been telling me that it's great, and it's a nice light read, you know, British humor. So it should be fun. Then I got some Edgar Rice Burroughs books, which is, again, the kind of thing that got me into like the older fantasy and sci-fi. I had a hard time finding these, though. Not a lot of people have the Burroughs books. The place that I did find these was a used bookstore, which I had looked there before and they didn't have any of them, so they must have gotten them in like fairly recently. They had several more, so I should probably pick them up while I can. I don't know how popular they are in my area. But, so I got the first two John Carter books, Princess of Mars, Gods of Mars, which is a really nice copy. And then I got the first two Tarzan books, Tarzan of the Apes. I do not like this cover. I was looking at getting Tarzan of the Apes on thrift books, and this was one of the only covers available. And that's why I didn't get it there, because I was like, I don't like that. But eventually I just decided that I wanted to read it so much that I didn't really care, and I just picked it up at the store. And then I got Return of Tarzan, which I very much like that cover. And then another one that I picked up at that store that just looked cool. I very much like the trope of like the strong women warriors, like Red Sonja. Red Sonja is a great character that I love to read in the comics. And this was one of those, from the sounds of it, The Golden Sword by Janet E. Morris, which this is a first printing, I believe. So that was cool. Again, I haven't gotten to read this yet, but it's fairly clean and it's a very nice book. And then finally, we got the Star Wars Republic Commando books. So this is Hard Contact, which I believe is the first one. These are based off the video game Republic Commando, which is actually a pretty old game now. Oh god, that game's like 20 years old now. That's crazy. Really, really fun game though. It's very innovative. If you never played it or you never even seen it, you can command your troops. So you're like I can't remember if you play as the same person for every mission or different ones. And you can pretty much command your troops to like go there to a certain spot or give you covering fire or stuff like that. It's very cool. Anyway, the books though, we got 000, True Colors, and then I showed you Order 66. And there's another one which is after Order 66 where they're working for the Empire. And then finally, this is the book that I was super excited to get for cheaper. I think I had to pay $5 for this because someone did bid me up. But even so, that's half of what it was on thrift books at the cheapest. The Darth Plagueis book. Darth Plagueis is one of my absolute favorite Darths from the comics. He's one of the most like legendary, I guess you could say. I've heard like great things about this book always. So I was really excited to get this, and after I get done reading the Thrawn stuff, I may start working on this, or I may start working on the new Jedi Order, or whatever it's called that comes after the last Zahn book that I showed you. Yeah, so that's gonna do it. If you enjoyed, please like, please comment. If you'd like to see more, let me know. I'd be glad to do more. I have several more books coming in that would definitely be enough for a video. It would be more of this kind of stuff. And, yeah, I will see you guys next time. Peace.